everyone. Well, I've got it on this springy, bouncy camera mount, so if you see anything bouncing, it's not your eyes freaking out. Alright, so I spent the last 2 hours trying to get into this guy again. This Yale lever lock is the one that started me off into collecting these and trying to pick these and buying them and stuff like that. And I got this one free in a bunch of other locks. It wasn't even listed in there. The seller just threw it in there, and it was pretty dirty. I cleaned it up, and it's the biggest one I've got of these. So, as with any lever lock, they look like warded locks, but they're actually lever locks. There's actually like 4 levers cut in here, and this is the depth. It looks a lot like a warded key, and some of these are wards, but down in here is the pack for the levers, which we can see in one that's taken apart right here. You've got 4 levers. These are the little springs that fit into the body. They have different cuts in them, so that when they line up just right, let's see if I can get it to do it on camera here. It's pretty hard to do on camera. When they line up just right like that, that allows this, let me take this guy, this little bolt face. I don't know if you can see him in there very well. That little bolt face is allowed to move in this track backwards. This is the plunger for the shackle, so that when it's picked, it, let me push this guy down here. You gotta make sure they're all out of the way so it can move backwards. It's jammed up right now. There we go. There's another spring right here that's pushing on this plunger. And when that pushes back, that's all it needs to do, because there's a little cutout underneath here. This is where the face of the latch is caught. So when it's allowed to come back in its track, not very far, it only has to come back just a little bit, then this is allowed to clear, the shackle pushes up, and the lock opens. Alright, so you've got to align these guys. And they don't have very far that they can go in this track here. But the main thing is tensioning the bolt. As with any lever lock, you want to tension the bolt. How do you tension this thing from back in here? And what I was able to do is I was able to see that, let's see if I can zoom in. I was trying to get this guy open a lot. You're looking for the short end. Here's where all the locking mechanism is. You're looking for the short end, and there's going to be a little protrusion, which is basically, you can't see it in this too well, but it's that, let's get this guy to focus again. It's that piece right there. There's a little notch there. You see him on that side? That little cutout. If you find that, then you're levering this way. There's another way of doing it too, and I was using first I was using a bent piece of wire with a couple of different lengths. One was, once you get through the stack and you get in there and you get into this, the idea was to lever against that and push it back. You see how that's doing it? I mean, that works on this. The trick is, when all these wafers are in the way, you not only have to lever the bolt back, that's how you get your tension. Then you've got to get another pick. So you've got this guy in here like this. and you're trying to lever him like that. So you got one hand doing this, and then I was using like either a broken pick or a Peterson gem, and I was going through the side here and trying to push on these levers right here, trying to get them to line up. So I think that's how, and there's another way to do it also. You can get, there's another way to tension it. It's not just torquing it. You just get in here. Let's see if I can get this guy. You get him to come in like this, like straight back at the bolt, and you just push that way. And with this disassembled, it allowed me to try different techniques and see what would work and what wouldn't. And you had to get the bend just right for some of them. Let's see if we can go here. Oops, see, its table's wiggling. See, I'm trying to get up here, and I'm trying to push. See, that the problem with that one is it didn't have. There we go, I got it. See that one? It came back. Get back in there, you. Where? So this swivels, so it doesn't matter which way that goes. But if you can get this piece in there and push back, right there. That's another way. So you can either torque it, which is, this is what's levering it on the key. You can either torque it, or you can push back with a piece of wire. Anything that'll get through there, get there and push back. Now, if I had a key of the same size, even one that didn't fit, like this monster down here, I could just grind off everything but that. And then it would be spaced properly, because you can't go too far down. It would be spaced properly, and you would be able to tension it, and then you would just go along this side here and try to pick your levers. Kind of like a warded key bypass when you cut all that down. I haven't got one that's this size for this big one here, and this is fairly close to this one here. Of course, it doesn't fit because of the warding, so it won't turn. I would have to grind one down, but this is my brand new old stock one, and I really don't want to grind its keys down. Here's an older one, a little bit larger size. Looks like it would fit this one here. It turns. You can feel it kind of like it's hitting the lever, but it doesn't open it. And I have two for this. Actually, I have three for this one. So I'm thinking about grinding this guy down to use him on my theory on that. And I don't think he's big enough for this, but he might be. No, it doesn't go down deep enough. So you'd need a bigger key. And a lot of times when you're buying keys on eBay or anything like that, you can't tell the size. You know, I mean, this size is different from that size, right? And then they've even got little tiny ones, so you'd have the little tiny size. And they don't always tell you or mention it or anything like that. But anyways, that's what I was trying to do, was basically lever this bolt, which is, like I said, it's under pretty strong spring tension there. And you're also fighting this upspring, which is giving pressure on this. Now when it's locked, this spring will be compressed like that, and it'll just be pushing on the top of the shackle. I don't think it'll add much pressure to it. you can't just, here's another way you could tension a bolt. You gotta imagine this mechanism is in there and it's up on the top. If you can get in there, you would have to basically wedge like in here. I don't know how much force you could exert like with your fingernail. Man, yeah, see, it would bend anything that's thin enough to get past that shackle, that cutout of the shackle down there, and allow you to lever it while picking. I think you're better off using a piece of wire, or on some cases you can just take a straight flat like this and get in and push back on this guy. See, it's not easy to do. There we go. See, that's the bolt. That's why with that metal piece sticking out there on the key, with that little nub sticking up, it's allowed to just perfectly lever in this little track right here and push this back. It's only acting on one side, and the reason why it's got double like this is so that you can stick the key in either way, this way or this way, and it'll work. But so you can have a little dog leg thing that come in there, or you can have a little thing with a little post, or like I said, you can get a key and just grind it down as thin as you need so that you can manipulate the levers but still have the actuator part doing its thing. Because this is separate housing, as you can see. Here's the wafers, and this is a whole separate block for the bolt. Oops, push this little spring up. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, I was just frustrated while trying to do this for hours and hours, and I had given up, and then I thought, you know what? I might as well share what I've found, so that it won't be a complete waste of time, that even though I didn't get anywhere, I got far enough that maybe somebody else has got a little more persistence, or a stronger piece of wire, or a better ability to bend things. I don't know what it is. See, this thing could be frozen up too, because I don't know, it hasn't been open in a long time. It does push down a little bit. Sorry, I bumped the stop wiggling. Yeah, so like I said, this guy's never been open, but I think as long as you can overcome all that pressure, because this one's going to have an even bigger spring in it. As long as you can overcome that pressure, you should be able to. Let's see if I can show you what up with the bolt. It's right there on the upper left-hand corner. Stop wiggling. See if I can zoom in. Get back. See it? Right up there on the upper left-hand corner. It's like obstructing that circle. If you can push back on that, or right behind it, if you can push. See, if you can get on this guy. It's slippery though, see? If you can get on that, now you're tensioning the bolt. But the trick is, you got to push backwards like that, without this thing falling down, and manipulate the levers on the side over here. See, those guys move. And you've got one side or the other, it doesn't matter, as long, because this is just one end of the other one over here. So whichever side you can get to manipulate, when you line those up just right, and you've got tension on that bolt, get back there, slider. And you've got tension on that bolt back there, it should be enough to pull it back, and this thing should go bink I'm free! I'm free! But I've had this for like a year and a half. I haven't worked on it for a year and a half, but I've done various sessions like this of just sitting down and trying to figure it out. Look at the one I've taken apart, understanding the mechanism and how far they would have to move. And see, you've got little springs on this, so it's fighting you when you're pushing. It's not this easy, but you've got to line that thing up depending on what your key bitting is with the cutouts and these little levers. And once those levers are lined up, that allows this guy to come back. When that guy comes back, bingo! It's a big celebration. But in the meantime, now you can, on some of the, I know on one of these, I think that I've got a key for, you can just take the warded key set and stick one of them in there and it works. You just get lucky. You know, maybe the size of the warded key set equals the maximum depth of the levers, or pushes them down far enough, whatever. But I've had it work sometimes. And then there's other ones like this one. And even this one that I've got the key for, I was just messing around with, like I said. Well, no, it was this guy right here that I don't have a key for. I was messing around with it also. And it's got the same kind of setup. Oops. Earthquake. It's got the same kind of setup where you've got that. It's just on a different scale. Quit bouncing around. They think we're on an aircraft or something. In-flight turbulence. He's down there. See, it doesn't obstruct the keyway as much. Focus down there, you idiot. See, it's not obstructing the keyway as much, or that circle or hole, but that's it on the upper left and the very back of the keyway. That's your bolt. Or you could push straight above, you know, on the cutout of it. Like I said, you can lever. You could lever straight back that way, but you'd still have to manipulate these side ones. Anyway, yeah, old ancient technology, and it's damn near harder to pick than the new stuff we've got out. Just really intricate designs that they have for this stuff that still works. When I first saw it, I thought, nah, these are easy, man. These are just warded. You get past the wards and there's just a mechanism back down there. Well, no, they took it a little step further than that and made it into a lever lock. So, anyways, I hope you found that interesting. Thanks for watching. Don't get frustrated. And eventually, one of these days, I may get this guy open. I've even tried looking for keys for it, but got ripped off, because you can pay almost as much as a lock for just a key, only to find out that it is not the one that you need. Mine says like FD40, and it's just kind of weird how they do their coding, because this one says NA8. N68. See, NA, that calls it N68. Right, and then this guy is an FA4. And I think it just says F4 on it. Yeah. Right, so who knows? Who knows how they code these things? But anyways, thank you for watching, and happy picking, everyone.